Alright, this is the first real issue of New Defenders. You could call this New Defenders issue 1 even. It is Defenders 126. The issue before this was the first issue, officially calling itself New Defenders. Well, that one is more the final issue of the S.H.I.E.L.D. team. It is the passing the baton story. It is saying farewell to Doctor Strange, Hulk, Seaman, Silver Surfman, and the Cat and Satan's Son. I thought this would be a quick little video to start the week, but I have a surprising amount to say about this one. And the first thing I want to say is, did this page here, this splash page, did this run as outside with Samuel L. Jackson's dialogue altered to say, look at this friendly bunch, or something to that effect? I am thinking I likely have dreamt that. It might be a Mandela effect thing too. This would make a good advertisement, and it is absolutely the sort of thing they would do. It would be similar to the Powerful Man and Iron Fist adverts, the Bill son of a bitch ones. You know which ones I'm talking about. They did also promote New Defenders a lot with ads. There was the Marvel Makes the Magic one. That was the one that we saw a lot at the time. That was the big New Defenders advert. But there was also the one using art from issue 124's cover. The two muties, one goddess, and a guy that looks like he fell off the side of an ad building one. My inability to find any evidence of this existing as an advertisement is leading me to believe I am misremembering. And if I am, can we at least agree that I have a keen eye for pages that could be repurposed for advertising? The New Defenders, who I will henceforth just call the Defenders, they are at S.H.I.E.L.D's secret headquarters. They have handed over their recent adversaries, Muty Force. I won't be explaining them, but they have a bonkers history where these total losers were once Mr. Magnets' foot soldiers. They have been apprehended and are being detained following the previous issue. They attacked the wedding of the Cat and Satan's Son. And this reminds me, I did once work on a review of that issue, and I think I scrapped it, and I cannot remember why. I think it maybe got too long. I am sure I will come back to it one day. This is written by Jim DeMatteis, and the feeling I always have is I would have liked to see him write more of the New Defenders. He is the person who revamped the team this way, but he then departs the title after only 6 issues. 4 of them being one big story arc. Even this has some setup for that one. And so we never really got to see that much of how he would have approached the team. This issue is maybe the only issue of his where we get a good feel for it. The characters are actually quite alive in this. They do have some actual spark together, mostly in how they interact with each other. And Jim DeMatteis sets up a few character arcs for them. Smurf seems as if he was going to be the main character in Jim DeMatteis' new Defenders. This was going to be the big Smurf story where we see Smurf grow into a leader. In this we get a lot of his doubts and feelings of being inadequate. When Jim DeMatteis leaves the title, we get the dead Peter Gilbert writing, and he doesn't really continue on with much. He drops a lot of things from Jim DeMatteis. A lot of the characters even. Smurf, Etrigan, Moondragon, they spend stretches of issues absent from his run. And the worst thing is he retcons these stories to make Moondragon evil. And his retcons annoy me because they actively made me not able to fully enjoy this issue. I wasn't going to get too into the retcons. I was thinking I'll maybe make note of all the things in this issue for later on, and I can do a video about how the Moondragon retcon doesn't work, but I don't have an issue to do that with. I don't have any Peter Gilbert issues with evil Moondragon, so I will point them out here. First, we have a gag. This is a cute gag, but it was also more than a gag, and Jim DeMatteis uses it for some small-scale introspection from Wingman later in the issue. Both Wingman and Snowman are attracted to Moondragon. The joke is that on some pages, not all pages, on some pages, they are thinking the exact same thing. There is 2 examples of that in this issue. Peter Gilbert says this is Moondragon using her mental powers to make them think that. She is forcing both of them to be in love with her. However, even on this page, we have Wingman. Wingman tries to talk to her. And then on the next page, Moondragon silences him and is rude to him. She is also blamed for... fucking hell. Snowman gets distracted ogling her and almost crashes straight into Summit. It is her. She is using her mental powers to make him so clumsy. Moondragon is wearing a headband that severely limits her mental powers. This is her story in Defenders. She is being humbled and massively depowered by this headband. And Peter Gilbert even acknowledges the headband in his issues, but only when it is convenient to have his pet characters defeat her, or a man with a gas can defeat her. But then he will ignore it to say that Moondragon is controlling the entire team, making them act irrational, making the men be in love with her, that she is using her mental powers to summon all these villains to attack the team, all because she wants someone to remove her headband so that she can use her mental powers again. This is Bucky Larson levels of internal plot logic. Remember those? The stories about the Catholic Church and Azazel, the plots that didn't make any sense? Well, it's like that. Much like with my Jennifer Drew video, let me say, yeah, you could say she is subtly using her powers in places, but the extent which she uses them is completely incompatible with the idea that her powers are limited. She received the headband for controlling Thor, for making Thor love her, for enslaving Thor, for Moondragon and Thor. But I kind of get distracted by being turned on right now. The idea that the headband would still allow her to be able to force Wingman and Snowman to be in love with her is outright contradicting the reason she has been forced to wear it. They are thinking the same things because it is a joke, it is humour. They are both infatuated with the same beautiful bald lady because she seems so exotic and alien. And the gag is that they are both thinking identical things. And I will call attention again to the fact that when Wingman tries to flirt with Moongarden, on this page, the page that introduces the pair fancying her, Moongarden doesn't care. Why would she be trying to make them be in love with her and then be annoyed and shut them down? Here is our big bads though. This is that setup for the main Jim Tomata's New Defenders story. The Secret Umpire. They have been appearing throughout all of Jim Tomata's books in this period. They were in those earlier issues of Defenders where Batman died. They were in Captain America. And their current leader was introduced in Spider-Man Team Up. This issue is its own thing, besides this page of setup, and then some other very loose ties. Back at that S.H.I.E.L.D. base, there has been a breakout. There was a failed S.H.I.E.L.D. experiment that has been kept captive there, and it has broken loose. Cut to the Defenders Brownstone. We get some more fun character interactions here as it comes time for Smurf to propose that they nominate a team leader. Velcro would appear to be the more obvious candidate for the position, but Smurf has his eyes set on that role for himself. And it would have been a different book if we had got to see Smurf blossom into being a leader, much like Hawkeye in West Coast Avengers. But we never get that. Velcro laughs at the idea of Smurf leading the team instead of her. And Peter Gilbert is obviously saying, her being a bitch. And then the team arguing is Moongarden causing them to act out, which is also bullshit. Velcro, in the last few years, she had her true godhood restored, her true personality. And since then, she has, at times, been displaying some differences. She's a bit harsher, a bit colder, a bit more arrogant and haughty, a bit disconnected from humanity. Her laughing at Smurf is because, with all her memories now restored, decades and decades of experience as a warrior and a leader of the Velcros, she finds a mere carefree mortal like Smurf proposing leading the team instead of her laughable. The argument causes Wingman to storm out, and I am sorry if you wanted a review of this comic because a lot of it is pointing out all the things Peter Gilbert deliberately misrepresented. Wingman leaves. He is flying away by himself. He is having some honest reflection here, and it is good. He is also away from Moongarden, and he is still thinking to himself about being attracted to her. Are we saying Moongarden with her headband limiting her powers, is still able to influence Wingman after he has left her vicinity. And unlike all the other times where Wingman and Snowman are thinking the same lines, are we also seeing Moondragon has managed to infect his actual serious self-reflection? Wingman, he gets attacked. He gets some cars thrown at him. It is that escapee from before. And the defenders have followed after Wingman to try and bring him back. And our villain stands revealed as a giant man called Leviathan. He is later renamed Gargantua because Leviathan is one of those comics names that is overused, and you should never call a character that. Leviathan is also Atchelon as a monster. It is a Hydra thing. It is a DC thing. Never call your comic character Leviathan or Giganto. There's a few names that you should just avoid. Leviathan was an S.H.I.E.L.D. scientist called Edward Kupperberg, and he nominated himself for experiments to transform him into a superpowered operative. He was given a serum which grew him to this giant size, but the side effect was that it diminished his intelligence greatly. Now he speaks and has the mental capacity of a child. He does have more appearances. He is in Captain America during John Walter's days. He fights John Walt as Captain America. He is in Acts of Vegans. He fights Wonder Man in an issue during Acts of Vegans. I think that is when he started using the name Gargantua. He was a member of Dan Slott's Masters of Evil in that ramshackle Galactical Guardians story. He received the Andy book profile in the Master Edition. That was his first profile, and here is the reverse if you were so interested. Then he had one many years later in Defenders Strange Heroes, the Defenders Andy book from 2012. He is a very mediocre villain, a half-arsed type of creation, but he does serve the purpose of being the first bad guy for the new Defenders to fight. He serves that purpose quite well. You want something a bit basic for this, Sean. There is a few continuity notes to make during this battle. First, Edward Kupperberg is mistakenly referred to as Edward Furball in this panel. Now, Edward Furball is a name that we should all know as Jim DeMatteis fans. Edward Furball was the second No-Man. Edward Furball was also Miracle Man's neighbour. Edward Furball is clearly someone Jim DeMatteis knows in real life and keeps using his name in comics. On the topic of names, Kupperberg, there is a Catherine Kupperberg in Justice League International, another Jim DeMatteis thing. Then there's Ira Gross. That is another Jim DeMatteis name you see crop up a lot. The other quirky bit is that Velcro refers to Leviathan as a Gargantua. I am curious if they chose the name from this, or if it is just serendipitous. Snowman has some great internal thought. He That is what the Peter Gilbert retcons ruin a lot. We have some character work going on here, but he discounts that and says that the reason Snowman is doubting himself and the reason that the team are struggling against this bad guy is because Moondragon is influencing them. The idea, stressed throughout this issue, is that as a team, they are dysfunctional. They are not working as a team. That is how they come to defeat the bad guy in the end, by working together as a team. And the other thing is that the idea Moondragon is using her mental powers to make these bad guys attack the defenders. Here we see her try to use her mental powers on the bad guy to stop him from attacking. And she can't because her headband is stopping her. Also, plenty of art on this page was reprinted in the Andy books. Moondragon's profile, definitely. I'm about done shitting on dead Peter Gilbert in this video now. No way, I have even read Strike Force Morituri, and I thought that was rubbish too. It is an idea that he doesn't write well, because he doesn't really write anything well. I read the whole fucking thing too. It gets worse and worse. They find the one writer worse than Peter Gilbert to follow him on the title. And why the fuck are they continuing with a book like that without the original writer anyway? The New Defenders, they work together as a team and they are able to defeat Leviathan. I want to recommend this issue. I am upset that I cannot enjoy it because of the retcons. The first time that I read it, that was the one time I could have enjoyed it, and I probably breezed through it. I didn't know the characters. I didn't know Moondragon. This was another issue that was one of the first ones I got. And now, I am sad that I cannot enjoy it as much as I should without thinking about all the retcons. And how there's bits in this, countless bits, that were deliberately overlooked. And everything about this issue starts feeling like you're on thin ice because the majority of it isn't what Jim DeMatteis wrote it as anymore. The original version of this issue as it is by itself, I think it is good. It is entertaining. And maybe even I would call it the best issue of New Defenders. Without the retroactive continuity, we have a single issue story here that I reckon most can find something to appreciate in. Maybe not after this video, because now I have ruined it all by letting you know about the retcons. I'll give it 7 thumbs up, but maybe Moondragon is mentally influencing me, even though she is wearing a headband that stops her from doing shit like that.